There you go. So again, just more incentivizing the behavior that we want with money. What's a better motivator than money? All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Hit that like and subscribe, and let's party. So it seems like the theme of the week is family protection, family building, all that kind of stuff. So we have a clip here from the Culture War podcast with Tim Pool, where Kari Lake from Arizona was the guest, and she was speaking just on this topic. I want to focus on this a lot because I think it's very important, and there's a lot of different angles about this. I didn't do this on purpose, but it seems like everything that I've been watching the past few weeks has really been about, the family structure and the community. So let's see what Kari Lake has to say.
We've seen the crumbling of the family. The family unit's been crumbling for decades now, and a lot of it started with sending our jobs overseas, ending manufacturing, shutting down factories. Dad lost his job. Dad's depressed. The family unit struggles. They're financially struggling. Sometimes resorted to crime or getting involved in behavior that wasn't appropriate, or a divorce ensued. And we've been seeing this for decades, and it hurts the family structure. We just came from Budapest, Hungary, where CPAC was going on. And
Isn't it Budapest? Am I just being a dick?
I was blessed to speak over there. I've never been in a city that was more clean, safe. The children are running around. What they did about 10 years ago is they started to say, we're going to strengthen the family unit. We're going to encourage people to get married. We're going to encourage people to have children. And we're going to, instead of giving people tax breaks and, welfare for sitting home, we're going to give you tax breaks if you get married.
Bingo!
So there you go. You have the idea of, we already have this idea of tax breaks. Why are we giving tax breaks to people who are not putting back into society? They're getting the break on the tax, and then the rest, they're getting the break by not having to pay back into the system in the first place. Whereas if you have children, if you have a family, then you're creating that sense of society, that sense of community just by having children. Your priorities will definitely, I don't have any kids, but what I've been told is that you will certainly have a change in perspective, and your priorities will shift once you have children. And it sounds like, according to the studies, that aligns with a better society, a cleaner society, a nicer society, less crime, all of that good stuff.
What a tax break when you get married. And when I think they have a 16% flat tax. When you have your first child, we bring that down a percentage. When you have your second, it goes down 2 more percent. And if you're a mother who has 4 children, what they do there is they say, you will never pay taxes again. You're tax exempt.
That's amazing.
We give a lot of tax exempt. We give tax breaks to corporations.
Yeah.
Same corporations.
That's true. The idea that we can't incentivize people to do these things is just wrong. And I think it's a very democratic, in terms of the Democratic Party, idea to use these tax breaks and tax credits to encourage people to do what they want done. And I don't see why people who are not part of the Democratic Party can't do the same thing.
It's pushing a lot of these crazy social issues on us. But we never considered to give maybe a tax break for somebody who decides to do the right thing, to work, start a family, raise a family. What about giving them a tax break?
Yeah, that's true meritocracy, is it not? If you do more, you get more. Makes sense to me.
And it's working in the city. It's so beautiful. You go there. First thing I saw was moms holding babies. I was in New York. I only saw about 3 or 4 kids in the 3 days I was there. There aren't many kids in New York City.
Oh, they're there, but they're just hidden away because New York is not a very safe place to be.
And you see in LA,
What?
the mom is standing 10 feet behind the caretaker who's pushing the baby cart. So they hire people to raise their kids for them and things like that.
What I see often is I see a little cart being pushed around, and I go, oh, I can't wait to see the baby. I peek in, and it's a dog.
I was going to say that.
I see that a lot. Actually, more often than not, I look into a stroller and I see a dog. I go, oh, I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. I have a dog myself.
Yep.
But
shout out to Morty, who left.
It's, having children, and I've told you this, Tim, I want you to be a dad someday. I hope you will.
Working on it.
You're working on it? Okay,
Yeah.
good. It's really the greatest gift It is the greatest gift that God gives us. And I really encourage people. It changes your entire life perspective. And we need to encourage that. It's so hard right now with the economic situation that Joe Biden has left us in. I know people your age who go, kids, I don't even think I'm going to be able to afford an apartment. Definitely not a house.
Nope.
How can I even afford to go on a date, let alone get married?
Facts.
I think
But
it's on purpose.
yeah, it's the crumbling, and they want us lonely and
Dependent.
divided, dependent.
Yeah. So this is
I mean, that sounds like spot on, but it could be a little bit conspiratorial. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you agree, you will definitely find a home at the Indian Jesus Discord server where the party never ends. That is right, 24/7. We are in there hanging out, clickety-clacking. But after every single live stream, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, afterwards we go in for a live after panel where you will be right on screen with me and everybody else talking. You can cam up if you want. You don't have to. It is a great time. Come on through.
the challenge, right? We talk about Hungary, and they did this great tax incentive program where you don't pay any taxes if you have, what is it, 4 kids or something like that.
The mother is, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And they also give tax breaks to grandparents who decide that they want to go and help take care of the babies.
There you go. So again, just more incentivizing the behavior that we want with money. What's a better motivator than money?
Their grandbabies. It's really a beautiful thing. Of course, it probably would, people would have their heads exploding here if we talked about that. But we need to start encouraging strengthening families, because so many of our societal ills come from the fact that the family has been weakened.
Well, so this is the challenge I see. It feels like we are in a great cultural war in this country where you have two factions. Within those factions, you have different factions. But what the left or the media would describe as right wing is actually relatively broad. You know,
this is I remember him talking about this is spot on. This is spot on.
Someone like me who's traditionally liberal can sit down with a conservative and be like, yeah, family strengthen the country. You look at the data on politics. Liberals and conservatives used to be they would overlap about 80% of political issues. That whole group now is called right wing. And the left I view as a chaotic and destructive force that is illogical.
And so a lot of I got into a conversation with somebody in one of the comments of the videos about why I call myself conservative and what does that mean to me. And, you know, I don't consider myself conservative. I've just stopped fighting the idea that conservative generally means anybody who's not woke, not on the far left, any of that. So, you know, I call myself like the conservative atheist because it's just easier than saying, well, I used to be a liberal and then this happened and then the Overton window shifted and I didn't like Trump, but then happened this. It just means not woke. And that's exactly what he's explaining.
And dangerous. For example, Ocasio-Cortez is blaming Daniel Penny, who is the victim of violent crime.
Shut up!
She's blaming him for the death of this man who was actually the aggressor.
Shout out to Daniel Penny for doing what he did.
When you have politicians who seek to implement an inverted policy, blaming victims and destroying this country, how can we implement a policy such as tax incentives for mothers who have more kids when you're actively fighting against someone who's trying to destroy the system?
You can't, bro. You can't.
Destroy the country.
It's tough. I mean, and this is why I think we need to really work on things like my court case, which I won't get into all the details, because we want to make sure that when we do go and cast a vote, that it's being done fairly. So I'm going to leave it at that because I know the format that we are of the show. And it's really important. And that's why I'm continuing to fight for that.
And what do you guys think about her whole thing with the voter fraud and all that stuff? I didn't really get too deep into it. I really only listened to her speak on you know, podcasts and stuff like that. So I haven't heard her dive too much into it. But do you think she's like a little crazy for that, or do you think she's onto something?
Because we have to have that in order to secure our country. But you know, I think we can work together on this. I would hope that.
I was gonna say, I hope we can. I hope we can. At some point, we have to find some common ground. At some point, there has to be a reason to just say, this is too much. This is too much. There's too much strife. And it's not helping anybody. So let's just do better. It's not that hard when you stop trying to win at everything and you are genuinely trying to improve things. If you're trying to improve things, then you're not looking for an argument. You might get into an argument about what is the best way to do this, that, or the other. But when you realize that most people generally, at the end of the day, have the same goals, to be happy and healthy and provide for their families. That's what most people want. How that plays out, how that manifests might be very, very different. But that's why this is America, and we should be able to do it in any which way that we can, as long as it's not infringing on anybody else's right to do the same thing. So let me know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with us once again. This is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Check us out live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And special treat for you, since you made it to the end of the video, comment the secret word to get a shout out in the next one. The secret word for this one is going to be vote. Comment vote in the comments for a shout out. Until then, guys, we are out of here. Peace.